Hello, hello. Chad here from Here We Go. And I am continuing our 5-part series on finding low-cost airfare. We are on tip number 4 today already. And tip number 4 is going to be all about airline miles and credit card miles and how you can utilize those to get free airfare. Go ahead and make sure you hit that like button and then subscribe if you haven't already. And we're going to get right into it. Here we go. All right, airline miles. So I love accumulating airline miles. So everyone pretty much knows about airline miles, but I often find it's one of the things that people overlook the most. I hear this so often. People are always saying, "Oh, yeah, I forgot to put my airline miles in," or "Oh, I keep meaning to sign up for, an airline program or something." But it's wasted miles when they do this. I can't tell you how many places I've been because of airline miles. I mean, I've flown to Australia. I've flown to Europe a couple of times on miles. I've flown to Hong Kong. I flew to Japan. Like, you can fly all over using miles, and it's such an easy way. And a lot of times, basically, it's free. You're just anytime you fly, always check that airline, see what miles program they have. 95% of all major airlines are a part of either their own program by themselves, or they're part of a bigger program, which is even better. So a lot of these airlines, like a United is part of Star Alliance, American Airlines is One World, Delta has theirs. I mean, they all are a part of a larger group, which means that if you fly on that airline, you're part of that whole Star Alliance. You can actually, if you accumulate miles through, you have a United number, for instance, you can use those miles on a lot of those other airlines. And when you fly those other airlines, you don't have to have an individual number for all of those airlines. I mean, say, for instance, you have a United number and you fly Lufthansa, when you fly Lufthansa, you can use your United number and gain United miles on that Lufthansa flight. And like I said, there's over like 35 in the Star Alliance. So anytime you're flying those, you're accumulating for one. So it helps you accumulate, over time a lot faster. And once you have United miles, you don't always have to use those United miles on United. I've used United miles on Brussels Airways before. I've used them on Lufthansa. I've used my American miles. I used on Cathay Pacific for a flight to Hong Kong. So you can use those other miles, gain them on other airlines for one entity, for one airline, and use them on other airlines. It's a really great way to really start compounding your miles. So now we've accumulated the miles. Now I'm going to talk about using the miles. I'm just going to give you a few tips just to give you some things that to be aware about, because you could waste miles for sure. I've done it too many times, and I know a lot of other people that have too. Most airlines, they kind of have their own program. Some are different, some are pretty similar. But for instance, like if I'm purchasing a flight on United or on American, or let's say one way is 12,500 miles. Now, if I go and I look for that flight, and that flight is $300 one way, 12,500 miles is a great deal. But a lot of times, there might be a $39 flight, from Denver to Vegas or something. And if you go to use miles, it's still 12,500 miles. So in this case, it's not really worth using 12,500 miles on a 39, a 69, a $99 flight, because you're using more miles. Those miles are worth more than the dollar amount that you would have to spend on that flight. Don't just say, oh, I'm using miles to use miles. Use them appropriately. Use them when it makes sense. Now, other airlines have a little different programs. Like Southwest, you kind of use miles based on the actual cost. So it's not like a set like 12,500 miles for a one-way ticket. So they do it where they kind of adjust a little bit more, and a lot of times that can help you on the low end, but a lot of times you end up spending a lot more miles on a more expensive flight. So definitely something you need to look at and kind of compare. Okay, so outside of just accumulating airline miles directly on the airline when you fly, there are numerous other ways that you can accumulate airline miles without flying. A lot of these airline programs have, it's what they call like a restaurant kind of program, where if you go to specific restaurants and you get, depending on the restaurant and depending on your level, you get 1, 2, 3, 5, sometimes even 10 times what you spent at the restaurant. Like you're already spending it, and then you get it in miles on that airline. A lot of these airlines also have shopping online. So if you go through their online shopping portal to these stores, then you'll earn 1, 2, 5 times what you spend on merchandise or anything that you're purchasing online. A lot of them have little wine programs that you can go through. So there's a lot of those. I know that that's out there. There's a lot of other ways to do that. The next biggest way to earn miles, which most people know about, is credit cards. There's tons of credit cards out there. There's airline credit cards. There's credit cards that just give travel, and you can use them on different airlines. So the great thing about these, some of them cost, some of them don't, but you can earn 1 mile per dollar, 1.5, 2, sometimes 3, 5, depending on the card and where you're at and what you purchase. But and they also, a lot of them also have bonus points when you sign up. So if you are going to sign up for one, look to see what kind of bonus points they have. I've gotten as high as 100,000 bonus points on signing up for a credit card. Usually they're between about 20 and 50, but if you can get the bonus points and you're going to be spending the money anyway, you might as well. Some of them cost. So if you are going to get one that does cost, you kind of have to do a little math, a little bit of figuring, see how much points you're getting for certain areas and how much you normally spend on that, and kind of justify and see if it's $95 a year, are you going to spend enough on that card to get more than $95 value? A lot of them are free though too. I know Bank of America has one. You get 1.5 points for every dollar spent, and it's a free credit card, and I think you get 3 points if you spend in their travel website directly. So you get 3 points on buying other travel anyway. All right, so another add-on to kind of what I was talking about earlier. So if you do sign up for one airline, and that's a part of multiple airlines, like United, for instance, that's part of Star Alliance, and you're earning miles just on United, right? I mentioned that, you can use those miles on those other airlines. So a lot of times when you go on and to the websites and you say you want to redeem miles, a lot of times they will bring it up automatically for you on the website. But a lot of times they won't. Sometimes there are flights that for some reason, I don't know what it is, but they don't show all of the partner airline flights. So to get those, so a lot of times I'll just call, even if I find some or none, if I find none, especially, I'll call to see if they have any options using miles for the partner airlines. I have had to use that a couple of times where it wasn't displaying online, and but if I'd called in, they had it available through a different airline. So keep that in mind too. All right, so that pretty much wraps up our airlines miles episode. And most important thing, don't forget sign up for the Airline Miles program, and make sure if you do sign up, you actually use it. It's one of the hardest things, but it's also one of the easiest. So make sure you do that. Make sure if you're gonna get credit cards, make sure you use those appropriately. Make sure they work for you, and then also when you're using the miles, make sure you're using those appropriately as well. As far as the costs, don't spend a lot of miles on a flight that you can get for super cheap anyway. So just some things to think about there. I hope you guys got something out of this, and that pretty much does it for us. So we'll see you in the next one.